45 minutes to get through Blu-rays.
We can do that.
Do it?
We can do it.
Okay.
Yes,
can you do it, sir?
You can do it. An Olympic sport.
Yes, we can do it. Yes, we absolutely can. So, yeah, I mean, December's usually kind of a throwaway month. They don't put out a whole lot of interesting product, but I know you could argue and say, well, that's every month of the year, but not necessarily. There's some good stuff that comes down the pike. But anyway, what we'll do is we'll go back to December 1st, and we'll just do this chronologically if you guys want to do that, and we'll just start there. So for the umpteenth time, Warner Brothers has issued National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. This time it's a 25th anniversary edition in spite of the fact that it's 26 years since it came out. You explain that one to me, because I'm not great at math, but there's something I'm missing there. So anyway, it's been they try to plug that every chance they get and milk the dollars out of it. So they have, but so it's out there. This was interesting. A couple of years ago they issued The Naked Gun, and then they didn't issue 2.5 or 33 1/3, which I thought was kind of crazy. Why not put all three of them out in a box or something? So, well, they finally rectified that. Warner Brothers, who now controls the Paramount library, of course, they have issued Naked Gun 2.5 and Naked Gun 33 1/3, which, if you guys want to bring up some thoughts on that, I don't know if you do, but I think they're pretty good, and they still hold up, in my opinion.
I still haven't really... I don't think I've seen the other two. I've just seen Naked Gun and, of course, Police Squad. But I still haven't watched the other two. So are they really worth watching?
I think they are. I think they very much are.
Okay.
They're the funniest movies I've ever seen.
Do you want to just laugh?
Shut up.
These are you kidding me? The taco movie.
Yes. I laugh myself until I've never laughed until I've cried and pissed myself in a theater. And I just love that when it works, and for whatever reason it works in Naked Gun and the Naked Gun trilogy and the first Airplane, but it doesn't work in many of the other Zucker Brothers movies.
It's true.
Naked Gun is just
oh my God,
so
man.
funny.
Yeah, one of the greatest.
I think they just had it stuffed.
Well, one of the greatest experiences for me was when I got a chance to run them for my kids, when they got older and everything. And so they had, so I ran this, I remember watching 2.5 with my son and my daughter, and they had seen Ghost at that point, so they got it was a big parody of Ghost, the love scene from Ghost. And so they were watching that, and my daughter just literally fell off the couch. She was in such hysterics. She just couldn't contain herself. So it still works. It's good stuff. So yeah, but anyway, I digress. Zoolander, I guess that's meant to tie in with the impending release of Zoolander 2. So we have a Walmart exclusive steelbook on that one, so you can only get that at your friendly Walmart there. But so
that's unusual.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, occasionally they do that.
Are you kidding? I have to go to Walmart to get that? Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I actually wanted to, because I hadn't seen it in a while, and I asked the distributor if I could have a review copy, and they said, well, the copies are very limited. We don't have any to send out. So I guess they're what few they have, they're pressing them directly for Walmart or something. I don't know. So anyway, who knows? But anyway, so Downhill Racer was issued by Criterion.
That's a great
Michael
movie.
Ritchie. Yeah, it is.
I still think that's one of Robert Redford's greatest performances. I was going through the movie.
Yeah.
For filmic ability, and I was like, you know what? He's superb in that film. He does a really good job of he doesn't play that kind of character very often. So it's kind of interesting to see him be a little bit of a douche. and I really love the Gene Hackman character as well, and also just the great ski footage is fantastic. So
yes, it is.
really great movie.
Yeah, and that's the film that kind of led him to establish the Sundance Film Festival, because it came out of frustration that it was a smaller film, and he was always aggravated that he felt like it just got buried. It didn't get the distribution that it deserved, and so that was kind of the impetus of his creating the Sundance Film Festival. So
did he film that in and around Sundance or Utah or whatever, Park City or whatever?
Not sure where the locations were on that. I just remember him saying in interviews that he was just really disappointed that Downhill Racer did not perform and didn't get the distribution that he felt like it richly deserved back then, and so he said out of that frustration he wanted to do something, to kind of rectify that, and that's kind of where the Sundance Film Festival came from.
He also when it came out in '69, he wasn't quite the huge star that he would become later on in the year with Butch Cassidy. I mean, he was a well-known person, but he wasn't a mega star. Like Butch Cassidy changed that for him. So I wonder if it had come out afterwards, if it would have been treated differently.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Anyway.
So the monthly crop of Twilight Time titles came out. They were actually late getting them out. I just got my shipment yesterday, but for review, there's some pretty good titles here. I think that they pressed this month. There's 5, or at least that's what I wound up getting, and the 5 that they issued for the month were 1984, the 1984 version with John Hurt.
And Richard Burton.
Richard Burton's in there, right?
That's the one. Yeah, it was Richard Burton's final role. Yeah, and
Michael Radford is the director who also directed Il Postino and a few other things.
Yeah, and Susanna Hamilton is the love interest, I think, in this one. So, it's So, and that's been out of print for a while. There's kind of a cult following on that. The standard DVD has been out of print for a while, so I'm sure that one will probably go pretty quickly because there's a limited 3,000 unit pressing as always.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, and same thing with Born Free was issued. That's another Twilight Time, and it has an isolated score track and a commentary with the film historians John Burlingame, Julie Kurgo, and Nick Redman, and theatrical trailers. And it's another limited to 3,000 pressings, 3,000 units.
John Barry won 2 Oscars for that, not only just for the score, but also one for Best Song.
That's right. Yeah.
So that'll be that'll be great to hear the score on its own.
So anyway, as I was saying, Mysterious Island is another Twilight Time title. That one's been issued before, and they went really fast. The original pressing was 3,000 units, and this one's backed by popular demand, and it has an isolated audio score track with the Bernard Herrmann score.
That's a great score.
Yeah,
it is. Awesome score from what I remember. I mean.
And also, of course, the Ray Harryhausen special effects, which is probably why it sold so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And supposedly, this is one of those Columbia TriStar titles. I think Columbia went back and did 4K restorations on a bunch of these titles from their catalog, and they never issued them for some strange reason. They struck up the 4K transfers and just didn't put them out, and so Twilight Time has licensed these. So this is one of their titles that actually has a 4K transfer, so it should look really, really good, I think. But and then 2 more Twilight Time titles. These are in celebration of the 100th birthday of Frank Sinatra. They put out 2 Frank Sinatra titles, and one is The Detective from 1968.
I like that movie.
Yeah.
Good Lord, I tried to watch that last week.
You did?
Yeah.
You didn't like it?
Does it end up not being so anti-homosexual, or is it like that throughout the movie?
That was the first movie I watched in Los Angeles, when I moved to Los Angeles. I watched it with my brother in a hotel room. It was on like at 1 in the morning. We'd just gotten in from driving cross country, and that was on.
It's definitely a product of its time, but I really think it's a good performance by him. I like Lee Remick in it. I kind of like those cop movies from that era.
I generally do too, but I just didn't expect it to be the birth of a nation for gay people. But I did see 2 other Frank Sinatra movies last week that I liked a lot more. I watched Suddenly, which is the one where he...
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. He and Sterling Hayden, where he tries to assassinate the president. Sinatra does, 9 years before his boy Kennedy was assassinated. And then I watched The First Deadly Sin, which was a detective movie that he produced in 1980 with Faye Dunaway bedridden throughout the movie, giving like a "I'm dying" vanity performance.
I remember. I was going to say that, Jamie. I was going to say that.
Sinatra's really good in The First Deadly Sin, actually.
Yeah,
he's very good at that.
Yeah. I mean, you can see where they were. He was offered Dirty Harry, and turned it down. So you can see why they offered it to him, and that would have been quite amazing.
You know what movie I liked him in? Not as a Stranger. The one about the doctors, medical school with Robert Mitchum.
Oh yeah.
I love that movie. That scene where he and Robert Mitchum are there in the class. I'm like, you want these guys to operate on you? Got to be out of your mind.
Yeah, that's a good movie. That's Stanley Kramer, and I saw that for the first time this year, and I was like, wow, that's not a bad movie.
Isn't that also Gloria Graham is in that, isn't she?
Yes.
Yeah, I liked her a lot. She was great.
The I Will Survive woman? Oh no, that's Gloria Gaynor. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Oh my God. That's a soundbite right there. I mean.
That's good. Yep. So there's one more Sinatra title in the Twilight Time batch, is Kings Go Forth.
That one I don't even know.
Yeah, it's Frank Sinatra.
What's it called?
The Kings Go Forth.
Oh, yeah, I actually do know this. Oh, my God, okay.
What is it? Is it a...
Well, it's Frank Sinatra and Tony Curtis. They fall in love with Natalie Wood, and they don't realize that she's half black. And once they find out, that changes things. Take an interesting turn.
This sounds like a disaster.
Yeah, well,
it's the soul man of its day.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's it's a melodrama. I mean, and it's much it's directed by Delmer Davies, and that and it's got Elmer Bernstein's score, but it's actually not bad. I mean, it's definitely a film of its period. It's 1958, but
there's also a lot of like gay bashing stuff in The First Deadly Sin too.
Yeah, I remember that.
Sinatra doesn't hang with that stuff.
Oh my God,
that stuff.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so that's the Twilight Time titles, and of course you can find those on their website if you're interested. Anybody out there?
You can find those in the dollar bin next time.
Well, anyway, we've got a couple of criterions here. Got Speedy is another criterion. That's it's Harold Lloyd. That's one that they issued this month, and Jellyfish Eyes is another one.
Is that another Harold Lloyd?
No, that's not a Harold Lloyd.
What is that?
Jellyfish Eyes is Takashi Murakami.
That
director.
explains why I don't know it.
It's his directorial debut. But
okay.
Anyway, from 2013. But anyway, the second FX film was finally issued after they issued the FX years ago, but Kino Lorber has seen it in their infinite wisdom to issue FX2, The Deadly Art of Illusion. So there you go.
Is Brian Brown in that one as well?
Yes.
Brian Brown?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, and
everybody's back.
Everybody's back.
What was he doing in between films? That's what I always want to know.
Yeah, good question. But it's actually
that
directed
Rachel
by
chick. That's what he was doing.
He's a good man. He's a good man. The first FX was really good. The second one I really could have cared less for, but that's just me. I mean, you may be different, but I just didn't care for them.
Man, those movies would be completely different today. Everything's like computer. So that would be a dull movie. All right, we're just waiting for it to render.
We're waiting for it to download. My USB-C is not working.
Oh man!
It's actually, the second one was directed by Richard Franklin. If you guys remember that director, he's the guy who made the Psycho 2, and he made Road Games, and A Cloak and Dagger, I believe he directed with who was that?
Dabney Coleman.
Dabney Coleman, that's it. Yeah.
I saw that in the theater with the kid from E.T., Henry Thomas, right? Was in that?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Richard Franklin was. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No. You mine was just you're more important here, Adam. So go for it.
No, I was just going to say Richard Franklin was on a roll there for a while. You know, he was kind of like the Australian heir apparent to the Hitchcock title or whatever.
Right.
And then he kind of
that's probably
fell
more
off the map.
than he's ever gotten.
A very poor man's Hitchcock.
I mean,
well, he was. I mean,
destitute.
You can go back and read the reviews of like Road Games, and they were praising that.
That was a good movie. That's
Road
his
Games
best
was
movie.
a superb movie compared to what follows. I'm sorry, Road Games is actually very good.
Yeah, it is.
I can't vouch for the stuff I've seen after that, though. But
I mean, Psycho 2 has a huge following, doesn't it?
Yes, no, and that's what I learned doing the show. I had no idea that those movies had such a huge following until we talked about them on the show. I would never have guessed that being in a million years.
Yeah, they're kind of critically praised. I think more so in the in ensuing years than when it came out. But yeah.
Well, I always thought Psycho 2 was actually a good sequel. It was about as good as you could hope for, starring the late great Robert Loggia. If you remember, he plays Norman's doctor in that film. It's not bad. So anyway, but I digress. We'll move along here. So You Can't Take It With You. Sony put that one out in a 4K. They've been doing these Frank Capra films at the rate of about one a year in a 4K restoration rather. And so this is the latest one. Last year they did Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, I think it was. So, but it's nice if you're a Capra fan. That's one worth picking up. And here's one that may not be worth picking up: the Garbage Pail Kids movie. Unless you're really,
it's probably going to sell 10 million more copies than the Capra movie, though. I guarantee you.
Why are people making? If you go on Facebook, I don't care. All of us have mutual friends. People are like they're buying this movie, and I gotta be really. I mean, why this movie?
Well, it's kind of famously like a really. I've never seen it, but I understand that it's really bad, like on that Troll 2 level bad.
Oh my God!
And people love those bad movies because get a 6-pack, join with it, get together with your smart ass friends and make fun of it. So.
I'd rather watch a good movie with what time I have left, but okay. I mean, you may be different, but okay.
As we get older, we have less time for irony.
Yes, I know. You're right, Dean. That was true words have never been spoken.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the same company.
And I say that ironically.
The same company that's putting out Garbage Pail Kids, Shout Factory, Scream Factory, they're doing Women's Prison Massacre, which is one of those that Quentin Tarantino and Rodriguez and Rob Zombie seem to love for some reason. It's one of their favorites.
Is that a film from the era, from the 70s or something? Or is that
1983. 83, yeah.
That's close enough.
That's
where the 70s to be.
It is. So anyway, it's getting issued. And The Fourth War, the John Frankenheimer film from 1990.
This I can get behind, kind of.
Yeah, that's
Who's in
that's,
that one?
That's Harry Dean Stanton, and isn't Roy Schneider in that, or?
Yeah, I believe so.
And what's his name? Is Jerome Crabbe in that too, or?
That sounds like something that he would be doing at that time.
You got to pay the bills.
Mm-hmm.
You got to pay the bills. I mean,
he was the resident evil European for many years.
Yes, he was.
Well, two other films, Count Dracula with Christopher Lee and The Delta Force 2.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, and moving along to December 15th, we had Burroughs the Movie, which is a documentary. It's Criterion, a documentary on William S. Burroughs, of course. And we have also Thief. Criterion has put that out again. I thought they had already issued that, but anyway.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, The Boy Who Cried Werewolf from 1973.
I remember seeing that at the drive-in back then, and it made an impression on me. I think I'd be interested in seeing that again.
I remember they had that on a double bill when I was a kid. I think they reissued it. They had it on a double bill with that movie. You know, I'm hissing like a snake. I'm trying to.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah. So that's the one where one of the very few instances where Strother Martin had the lead role in a film. If you remember, he's the lead, top billed in the film, and he plays this doctor who is coming up with this way to turn people into king cobras, and so his latest assistant is played by Dirk Benedict, and it's got the makeup by John Chambers.
Right. And Starbucks. Oh my God.
Yeah. So, and ironically, I just got an email saying that that Shout Factory's putting that out early next year on Blu-ray. I'm not kidding.
It's about time, and then soon we'll be seeing Squirm right after it. With,
it's already been issued. It's already
God.
been issued, actually. It has.
Oh man.
Yeah. So anyway, the car. Shout Factory put that one out. Remember the killer car with James Brolin, that film trying to capitalize on dogs.
I know that all too well, but okay.
That is one of the best bad movies out there. I mean that thing
is a taco movie.
It is a really fun bad movie. I mean, like it's mind blowing. Some of that dialogue in it is just crazy. But I do find the car to be a genuinely malevolent presence.
That I know that movie more. I remember that movie so well. It's frightening, but I
mean, who can forget the car? Yeah, it does. And who can forget the honk that the car does? The
I know. Oh my God.
It's pretty unforgettable.
Yeah, sounds more like the truck in Steven Spielberg's Duel than a car. But anyway, the last horror film that's in the Toxic Avenger.
Oh, we can only hope.
Yeah,
we can only hope.
Yeah. Well, that and the Toxic Avenger collection are being issued by Troma.
Okay.
So, for whatever it's worth. And Triumph of the Will, that's being issued by Synapse, and Zombie High by Scream Factory.
Wait, Triumph of the Will is Criterion. Didn't Criterion have that for a while though, or?
I thought they did. Yeah. But for some, I guess they lost the rights.
Hang on, Adam. I just want to review what you just said. Triumph of the Will out on this date and Zombie High. I mean, was that really like
what a combo?
Doesn't Donald Trump have the rights to Triumph of the Will?
You know what I wanted to do for this documentary series? I wanted to do an episode of Leni Riefenstahl, and she has two major biographers, like two major books have been written about her in the previous decades, and both of those authors are dead. So no luck there.
How about the guy that did the documentary about her?
Yeah, there's that too.
Yeah.
There's that too. I think he's in another country, but I'm thinking seriously in 2016 of doing a series on controversial cinema and covering stuff like Birth of a Nation and Leni Riefenstahl and Last Temptation of Christ and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely, man.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, moving
Go
on.
ahead, Adam.
Moving on, yes. Well, does anybody remember this horror anthology film from 1983 called Nightmares? It used to turn up on cable quite a bit in the early 80s, but Scream Factory's putting that one out too. So
so it's an anthology, so it's like 6 stories or something?
It's like 4, I think.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have actually. There's a couple of good stories in there. It's not it's kind of a mixed bag. There are a couple of them that are kind of lame, but the first one's a real doozy. It's real good. So
is there any interesting stars in it?
I think Christina Raines is in it. I think Emilio Estevez has a early. It's directed by Joseph Sargent, as we all know. And it has Christina Raines. Yeah, Emilio Estevez. Emilio Estevez, I remember he's a video game hotshot who he takes on this challenge in this video game that will actually cost him his life, or could cost him his life, and it was called The Bishop of Battle. I remember that was the name of the. But the best one in it was the Christina Raines segment called Terror in Topanga, which is really, really good. Lance Hendrickson is in it, and Veronica Cartwright. So, and Richard Masur. That's the other one. So, yeah,
I like him a lot.
Yeah. So, there's like a giant rat in the Veronica Cartwright's house, and her husband's played by Richard Masur. So there's that thing, and so anyway, you get the point. But it's half of a good movie, and I would say you could do worse.
Mm-hmm.
So. And The Brain That Wouldn't Die by is coming out from Scream Factory.
Another great bad horror movie, bad movie in general.
The 50s. And that is pretty much, as far as the catalog titles, I think that's pretty much takes care of them this month. Actually, we raced through them faster than I thought we would. There's some recent titles like Bone Tomahawk that are coming down the pike, and Pawn Sacrifice, some things like that. But Pan is already out.
That was panned. I mean, so.
So
they should have seen that coming a mile away. Calling it Pan.
Criterion has a great movie coming out next month. One of my favorite movies. The American Friend is finally coming to Criterion. I can't wait for that.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah.
I mean, it's one of my favorite Wim Wenders films. So.
I agree.
And they're coming out with The Graduate as well,
The
right?
Graduate,
in February.
Is Inside Llewyn Davis also in January?
Yeah, that's January. Graduate is in February, and in March they just announced like 3 days ago. In March they're doing Manchurian Candidate.
Oh, cool! Oh my God!
So,
awesome.